The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The New York Jets OTAs are officially in full swing. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? What are some of the key takeaways? That and much more all coming up here on a Friday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. Let's go.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby.
I got just the guy to get us going tonight.
Each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Brees Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
What is going on, everyone? Hello, and welcome back here into another edition of the Jake Asman Show here on this Friday afternoon. Connor Long in for the great Jake Asman. Shout out to all the ASMANIACS out there. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. Appreciate all of your support as always. Get your super chats and memberships in. Memberships get contributed to the Jake Asman weekly membership raffle, and they go to the Connor Long Lunchable Juice Box Fund. So we appreciate all you guys here tuning in with us on this Friday evening. I know it's been a long week for a lot of us. So TGIF Friday is here, folks, and we're going to bring you all the latest surrounding the New York Jets here on this Friday evening. You got any questions? Throw them in the chat. Super chatted questions will come up immediately. You want to come in on the screen, you want to talk and you want to talk about the New York Jets, you could do so by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. See 107 of you guys already in the building. So make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. We appreciate all of your support as always, but nevertheless, let's just dive right into it. OTAs officially underway for the Jets, and I know a lot of people look at OTAs differently, especially from a fan perspective when it comes to how do you really evaluate takeaways. For me, I don't look at the highlight plays that you see from Justin Fields to Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields to Mason Taylor that we see on on Instagram, guys throwing the ball around in their shorts. The things that I look at are how have players improved technique-wise? We get that when the media is in the building, and some of the quotes that come from the coaches who are made available during OTAs. Those are the two main things I look for throughout the organized team activities. Obviously, mandatory minicamp is coming up as well, and then training camp obviously is a little further down the road. So those are some of the main things I generally look for, whether it's evaluating the Jets OTAs or just any of the 32 teams OTAs. Those are the main things that I look for. So press conference quotes from the coaching staff, how players have improved technique-wise, and I'll throw in for a third one, kind of the way the rookies look. It's always great to get a first look at the rookies. How do they look in the green and white? Those are the main things I look for. And one of the rookies who, from what we've heard from the media, he was a polarizing pick when the Jets selected him in the 4th round of this year's draft, but according to the reporters said in Florham Park these past few days, he's made a big impact on the field, and that is Arian Smith. And we heard a lot of success on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to pull up this tweet here from Nick Faria, taking a quote from Chris Banjo, the Jets special teams coordinator, who says he's flashed on special teams as a returner. Quote, he's back there every day trying to improve as a potential punt returner. Arian Smith is someone who's a really, really polarizing pick for this team, and we kind of know why the Jets drafted him. They drafted him because of his speed. They're hoping that he's able to hold on to the football and completely eliminate those drop issues. This is great to hear. Not only the fact that Arian Smith's been producing numbers, not producing numbers, but he's been impressed. His speed has been impressive. His ability to get past defensive backs, that's been on display throughout OTAs. What's great to hear, in my opinion, is he's flashed on special teams as a returner multiple reasons here. Xavier Gibson, this guy has no business being on the team. If Arian Smith can come in and play multiple roles on the team as a deep threat who maybe plays 45% of the team's offensive snaps, and they can get him in the right scheme where they open up opportunities for him on the down on the field where he can utilize his speed, get open, and make big plays. Well, maybe he's also that punt returner who could provide you some juice. Maybe he's a McCole Hardman type guy. So Arian Smith flashing on special teams, I think, is a great thing, and you really hope that he's able to come in right away and earn that starting punt return job, because I think playing multiple roles is key on especially on an Aaron Glenn-led football team. There's 53 spots on a roster. You want to have 53 guys who could do multiple things, and I'm hoping Arian Smith could fit that mold. So Arian Smith and his reps on special teams, along with his speed on the field, something I've definitely looked at these past few days. I mentioned quotes from players and coaches as something I look forward to each year when OTAs are underway. And Justin Fields says the Jets are doing things outside the building to get together. And this just follows the blueprint of what Aaron Glenn's trying to build here with this football team. He's trying to come in and instill a completely new culture that starts with the head coach and that trickles all the way down to the quarterback, to the coordinators, and then every single player on the 90-man roster for the summer. So Justin Fields says the Jets are doing great things outside the buildings to get close together. That's something else I really, really like. I mean, Aaron Glenn has continued to prove every single day that he's a leader on the football for this football team. You absolutely want to hear that, and I love everything Aaron Glenn's done, but nothing's going to matter if you don't win football games. So love the leadership, love all that, but Aaron Glenn does ultimately have to win football games from September all the way through January. That's the goal. So nice quote there from Justin Fields that I found pretty intriguing. Next up here, another quote from Fields on the Jets offense. There have been some similar things, but there are a lot of different things. Tanner has been great. OTAs is also a time for players to get in the building, get acclimated with, in this case, with the new coaching staff, and begin to learn the playbook. This time is pivotal for a lot of quarterbacks, Fields in this scenario, to come in and be able to adapt, learn this new playbook. Justin Fields, I think, has had 5 offensive coordinators throughout his career, Tanner Engstrand being the 5th one. How is he going to be able to finally get into a scheme that fits him? I think this time of year is really, really crucial to see that. So Justin Fields, there's a lot of different things, according to Fields, that the Jets have been implementing recently into the scheme, which I find interesting. And I've said this all along, if the Jets are able to create a scheme tailored around Fields' strength, I think he can be a very, very good quarterback at this level. He has the traits. He has the intangibles. He has the tools that he has the tools you want to see in a quarterback. He's never had a scheme built around him along with weapons. If the Jets can build a scheme around Justin Fields that contains quick passes, read option type plays, and then you obviously involve the run game with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, you give him weapons and things of that nature with a scheme tailored around him, like I started with, I think Justin Fields could be a great football player. So I like to hear that there's some new things being mixed in to his scheme, because I mean, I trust Tanner Engstrand. I understand he's a first-time offensive coordinator, but he's a young, innovative mind, and he's coming from a very, very successful coaching tree that is the Detroit Lions. Our guy Jake, we appreciate you. He comes in with $5. Says all super chats go to Connor for pizza, Lunchables, soda, and Legos. Let's go, Connor. Thank you for holding it down for me today. Jake, my friend, appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I appreciate you. Hope everything is well with you, my friend. You're the best. Shout out to Jake Asman, best in the chat. Appreciate you, Jake. As always, let's keep it going with some of the OTA takeaways. Pull up another tweet here that comes from Rich Samini, another quote from offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand on his offensive philosophy. I think we just want to play fast, right? We want to be physical. We want to be aggressive. We want to be explosive. We want to be detailed. We want to show up on tape each and every week. The Jets are just trying to be a competitive team this season. They don't want to be this is what I don't want. I don't want the Jets to be a team that other teams circle and are like, this is a win. I want the Jets if the Jets are 8-9 and they're in every single game, like that is a really, really good season. I personally have the Jets going 8-9, and I think there's a real chance that happens. That is my record prediction as of now. The Jets, I think, need to be an aggressive, physical team on offense, like Tanner Engstrand says. Now, do they have the personnel to do that? That is a whole nother question. The Jets have a strong rushing attack, as we know, with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, 3 running backs that I really like. They drafted Mason Taylor, who we hope can do great things. We know where Tanner Engstrand comes from, the Detroit Lions. They used a lot of 12 personnel. They used a lot of 13 personnel. They really used their tight ends. They used Sam Laporta on over 86% of their offensive snaps. So the tight end had a huge role in the Detroit Lions offensive scheme. Do the Jets have the personnel to do just that this year? We don't know. We'll see. But again, goes back to the point that Tanner Engstrand's making here is just be a team that defenses don't like going up against. And I think that's the goal of this Jets offense. And I hope that is the case as we approach the 2025 season. We see here from Dennis Waszak Jr., who does a great job covering the Jets from the AP News, Justin Fields on what he thinks the Jets offense can be. I think I can be great, and that's been the goal for me my whole life, my whole career. Like I've said, I just think sky's the limit for this team, for this offense, but we do have a long way to go. Completely agree with the last part that he said. I know a lot of people don't want to give in to a first-year head coach in GM tandem. Completely get that, and I completely agree with where you're coming from. I agree with what Fields is saying here in that second part, though. Sky's the limit. Arian Smith could come in, and he could be a top 5 wide receiver to an NFL. A guy like Malachi Corley can surprise us all and be a legit receiver 2 option. We don't know. That goes back to the point they have young guys. Stone Smart. I'll even throw Stone Smart in there as another name who could be a contributing tight end option for this team. Those are all names who have super high ceilings. We also don't know what their floor is. That's the thing. Like, this offense can be a very, very high-powered offense with great coaching, obviously, in the scheme. And then assuming the players hit their ceilings, 1,000%. However, there's a lot of question marks, and I think that's why a lot of fans aren't all bought in right away. That's my 2 cents on this quote here from Justin Fields, and I agree with what he's saying. Now, I want to get into a competition from what we've heard is taking place at the center position between Josh Myers and Joe Tippmann. I don't think this is a real competition. I don't. The Jets signed Josh Myers in free agency and paid him backup money. I think Josh Myers is a top 32 center in the NFL. I do think he is. He's been on that lower end as a starter with the Green Bay Packers. I think he's one of the best 32 centers in the NFL. He's not the starting center, though. Joe Tippmann is. You start the guy who you used a second-round draft selection on just a few years ago. This is nothing more than Aaron Glenn just trying to show what he's preached all offseason long, which I really like, that no one's job is safe and there's always going to be competition. I love that Josh Myers has started in the NFL for the past 4 seasons. I love that Josh Myers has chemistry with Justin Fields, played with him in college. Love that. You start the guy who used a second-round pick on, who was a top 10 center last year, and in my opinion, has the potential to be a top 5 guy. That's who you start at the position. Not the guy you paid backup money to this offseason. Not the guy who has been on the lower end of starting caliber players the past 4 years. You start the guy who was a second-round pick. And I love Josh Myers as a depth piece. If AVT goes down, if John Simpson goes down, again, not to mention Myers can play guard. If Tippmann even goes down, he can step in. He's not the starting center for this team. The Jets have a top 10 center on their roster. I don't know why they're trying to put anyone's job on the line. That's my thoughts on the center competition. One more takeaway that I think is pretty notable from here that kind of has to do with the same overall model of the competition there. According to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, a new defensive tackle has emerged early in OTAs, and that is Byron Cowart, who the Jets signed this offseason in free agency. Rosenblatt says, quote, Byron Cowart actually stood out to me next to Quinnen. He looks really good. He's probably the favorite to start, I would say. He's getting a lot of pressure. I think he's a really good shot to start next to Quinnen Williams. This is interesting, right? Because when you look at the Jets' starting job next to Quinnen Williams to play opposite Quinnen on the interior of the defensive line, it's really anyone's role right now. You have Leonard Taylor III, who stood out as an undrafted free agent. Last year, you have Derek Nottie, who you signed in free agency this offseason. It's really anyone's role. anyone who comes in and works for it and is able to put on tape that they're a viable interior guy has a chance to earn that job. That aside, I don't want Byron Cowart being my interior defensive lineman, my second interior defensive lineman this season to play opposite Quinnen Williams. Byron Cowart can have a great summer, 1,000%. It's the overall skill set that he brings to the table that I don't want starting next to Quinnen. Can he be a great replacement option? Let's say, God forbid Quinnen goes down. He can. I don't know about great, excuse me. He could be he's a viable depth option. That's what he is. He's a viable depth option. That's what I'll say about Byron Cowart. Plays with a high motor, gives you special teams value. Love that. Maybe his role's on special teams to start the year. I don't want him being my starting defensive tackle. Again, don't mind the free agent signing because the depth is nice. The guy I'm looking at to be, and if you want to go with a 3-technique role, I'll throw this in here quickly. If you want to go with another 3-tech guy to play next to Quinnen, which is one of the main reasons I don't want Byron Cowart being that guy, I think you go with Leonard Taylor III, who is young, who has upside. That's who I go with. If you're looking for another 3-technique guy to play next to Quinnen, which I really don't want. The guy I'm looking at to be the starter next to opposite Quinnen Williams this year is Derek Nottie. I understand the ups and downs throughout his career. Completely understand that. Completely understand. I understand the concerns. Like 2018, 2019, those 2 years, Derek Nottie, was a top run stuffer. He was the top run stuffer in the NFL. These past few years, however, he's quite frankly ranked as one of the worst run stuffers in the NFL. So I understand the ambiguity there regarding, well, how good really is this guy? He's coming from the Chiefs. He's coming from a team that has success. He's a big run stuffing 1-technique guy. 320 pounds, that's the guy I want playing next to Quinnen Williams. It does you no good to clog up the middle with 2 3-techniques. Leonard Taylor III, Byron Cowart can kind of be that backup 3-technique guy, 3-technique type guy behind Quinnen Williams. Again, viable depth options. That's the way I explain them, and I'll stand by that. I want Derek Nottie being my starter at this position, given he's flashed his ability to stop the run and his weight. I don't want another 3-tech guy that does you no good. There's no point, in my opinion, of having 2 3-technique guys playing opposite each other on a team's defensive line. There's no point in that. I don't get that. I want a 1-technique guy to play next to Quinnen Williams, and that's one of the big things I'm looking for here. So that's why Derek Nottie right now is leading the way, in my opinion, to be the guy who starts opposite Quinnen Williams as one of the team's starting defensive tackles this season. Derek Nottie is the guy I'm pulling for right now. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on this Friday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. Smash that like button, folks. Hit subscribe. You want to get on here, you want to talk all things New York Jets, you could do so by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We're going to go over to the phone lines in a little. SuperChats memberships. Great way to help support the show. Go to the Connor Long Juice Box Lunchable Fund. We appreciate all of your support here on this program. As always, 274 of you guys watching. Smash that like, hit subscribe. Pumps this show, Jake Asman Show, out to even more Jet fans. Jake Asman channel, Jake Asman Show, you ASMANIACS are legendary. It's over 40K subs here on the channel. Get that to 50. Let's get that to 50. And I will say, at 4:30 p.m., so a little less than an hour from now, we have a very, very special guest who is joining us. A very, very special guest who you all know and love. Not a content creator, but you guys will see. We appreciate you all. So stay tuned for 4:30 p.m. Big news coming. So we appreciate all of your support as always. And if you guys want to find me, you guys want to keep up with my work, you can find it in the description at NY Flight Jets Talk on YouTube. Check the description down low. You will see that link. We appreciate you all. As always, we're going to go over to the phone lines in a little, but let's head over and read some super chats. Incel Allen comes in with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Incel Allen. Says, let's go, Connor. Pizza timer. I wish I knew what that meant. I appreciate you, Incel Allen, and we appreciate all of your support here on this program. Fastest food reviews. Our friend Chef Kevin is in the building. Says, my brother Connor on the 1s and 2s, LGA. Chef, my man, appreciate you. And appreciate all of your support and appreciate you sticking with us here on this Friday afternoon. Meadowland Swamp Thing, $2. Appreciate you, my friend. Bring the seal. Appreciate you, Meadowland Swamp Thing. Appreciate all of your support. Chris J with $5. Chris, appreciate you, my friend. Mike Dems, $2. Is pizza or nacho Lunchable? I don't eat Lunchables, Mike, so I got to go with pizza all day. Pizza and I think you're referring to just Lunchables overall. So if it's in general, I like nachos, but I'll go pizza. I don't eat Lunchables. That's the bottom line for me. I appreciate you, Mike. Let's see. Where were we here? G-Man the Prophet, baby. A 5-spot of gifted memberships. G-Man, thank you so much for all of your support here on the program.
Now, give me money. Or I shoot him. And I shoot all you motherfuckers. And then we take it. Your choice, bitches.
5 memberships from our friend G-Man the Prophet. G-Man, appreciate you, my friend. That is 5 entries into the Jake Asman Show raffle. You're the best, and we appreciate all of your support here on the program. 3 Siblings comes in with his 15-month member. Super Chats. Connor Long, do not give Jake his show back. It's yours, Connor Long. Just win, baby. Jay, appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate the support, my friend. Shout out to Jake, who's letting me fill in for him here on this Friday afternoon. We appreciate all the kind words, and hey, maybe this could be maybe I could be the go-to Jake Asman fill-in guy. That would be awesome. We appreciate you all and appreciate the kind words. They really do go a long way here on this channel. My guy Chris Grasso, $2. My guy Connor AG's the perfect guy. I'm hype. Chris, brother, appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to the weekend. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the $2 super chats. My guy Connor AG's perfect guy. I'm hyped. Again, like I mentioned in my monologue there earlier, everything Aaron Glenn said and shown, I think, gives us confidence to believe in this team. Nothing matters if you don't win football games. I understand if you're hyped, and I said they're going 8-9, which I think is a very, very fair record prediction for this team the upcoming season. You have to win football games, though. And if Aaron Glenn is not able to get that done, he'll be out of here in 3 years. It's as simple as that. Peter says, where's the Gustbuster hotline link? Peter, pin comment at the top of the chat. If you guys want to call into the show, you can do so with the pin comment at the top of the chat. Appreciate all of your support. As always, where were we here in the chat? Man with Rank FL says, is Bruce Hector any good? An interesting question here. That's why I pinned it, and I want to go to it right now. So Bruce Hector is someone who I think a lot of fans love. He had a great first preseason game last year. That's the main thing that I remember from Bruce Hector last year and why a lot of fans liked him. Bruce Hector, I think he's with the Jets. I think he's still with the Jets. I mean, look, he was all right in minimal reps last year. This is not a guy you want to be talking about for your starting job. Every defensive tackle I've really spoken about thus far, I think is better than Bruce Hector. I don't think Bruce Hector cracks this 53-man roster. With a strong summer, does he have the potential to? I would say so. I just don't think he's going to have a role on this team, and I don't think you're in a great spot overall as a football team if you're relying on Bruce Hector to play a role. Those are my thoughts. G-Man the Prophet follows up his 5 gifted memberships with a $20 super chat. G-Man, my friend, we appreciate your support as always here on the channel. Says the Prophet has spoken. The Jets will go 4-1 to start the season. Put it in the books. The culture has to change. And so the Asmaniacs and Jet Nation for faith is the substance of everything we've hoped for. G-Man, wise words there. Appreciate you, my friend, and we appreciate all of your support. Thank you for the $20 super chat. And again, love the hype. Love all that. You have to win football games. Do I think the Jets will start off 4-1? No, I think the Jets are going to – if the Jets get off to a 2-2 start, I'll be perfectly happy. Like, I'll be happy with a 2-2 start for this team. I think they're going to play 500 football all year. If they're 2-2 to start the – if he's 2-2, if they're 2-2 to start the year and that, maybe the 2 games they lost are within 2 scores, I'm happy with that all day. I want this team to ultimately win in the 8 to 9 game range. The bottom line for me, though, is I want them to be competitive. I want this to be a competitive football team. That is one of the biggest things I'm looking for. Appreciate you all joining us here on this Friday afternoon. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on the Jake Asman Show. If you guys want to call into the show, you could do so by using the hotline at the top of the chat. Throw all your questions. Keep the super chats coming. We'll definitely hit all of those, but let's go over to the hotline. Starting us off today is the great Chef Kevin Gilbert. Chef, you're on the Jake Asman Show. How you doing, my friend?
Connor, my brother, how you doing, man?
Can't complain. Appreciate the super chat, and I appreciate you calling in. What's on your
Well,
mind?
I gotta send you another one, man. I
Thank
didn't
you.
know it was for like pizza and juice box. I know juice boxes nowadays are a little on the pricey side, so I'm gonna throw something else in there, man.
I
Um,
appreciate you, man.
you got it. Yeah. So, I guess just because of what you said before, man, about Josh Myers, like I'm with you, man. I feel good with him. Obviously, the relationship with Fields, they got a little something there. But for me, man, and I kicked it with you during last year at the training camp. Like
Mhm.
I felt good with Titman doing his thing. Obviously, he had a couple of fumble issues that we saw live there, and it got blown up on social media and all that kind of stuff. And we were talking it on Jake's show and everywhere else. But during the regular season, I feel like he did a really good job, man. I don't want to say he had like Kevin Mawai type seasons or
Yeah.
whatever, but I feel like from a consistent standpoint, he did a good job of taking care of the ball. He was staying on his blocks. Like he's one of the people that was on the line that I felt like held it down for us, didn't really, lose a step or create a mess where Rogers was getting killed in the back, like, after a quick snap or so. So Titman, I feel good there. But if for whatever reason Myers just comes out the box, just like connecting with Fields, then I get it. But I feel like it's Tip's job to lose. And then if something was to happen injury wise, knocking on wood, like
Yep.
Myers is right there, which is a perfect player to just kind of fill in where him and Fields is not going to miss a beat. So I'm with you on that. Feel good with the line, obviously, with when it comes to like the finance and the contract situations, like moving forward. I feel like Muji and Glenn do have a plan. I'm just assuming that at this point that just knowing that ABT with his with his contract situation and Simpson, obviously the two ends were good with Olu now in his second season and with Membu. So I feel good with all that stuff. For you, I don't know if you dug in at all, but the wide receivers
Yep.
with OTAs. What's your takes on what you're hearing and who you're talking to about how well they're doing? The chemistry with Fields, obviously G5 already has that. Let's exclude him. But what are you hearing about the other wide receivers on the team?
So what we've overall heard now, I think Arian Smith has kind of been the biggest takeaway thus far, primarily because he was the most polarizing. That's obviously
Hmm.
he's a rookie. He was the most polarizing as we enter OTAs and minicamp here coming up. So for me, if I had to pick one who's really stood out, it would be Arian Smith. I think what we've seen from his speed. I pulled up a tweet earlier that showed from Nick Faria that showed that he is working as a punt returner. I think that's a great thing. The Jets need players to fit all 32 spots who are able to do multiple things. And I think if Arian Smith is able to do that, he has a clear path to having a viable role on this and playing a significant role potentially even on this team. I think the wide receiver two job is anyone. So if Arian
Hmm.
Smith keeps this coming throughout training camp, and obviously like this is all a hyperbole just given the fact that
Hmm.
these players are wearing
Absolutely.
shorts and tossing the ball around, so we'll
Yep.
we'll, we'll put that asterisk on it. But I think Arian Smith is the one who's really caught my eye. We saw actually that we saw that Malachi Corley was not at practice yesterday, which is a little interesting for me. He's a guy I'm really watching entering the year. Xavier Gibson has stood out, so let's see if he keeps that up throughout training camp, see if he's able to maintain a spot on this roster.
Hmm.
That's going to be interesting to watch. But I'd say if I had to pick one who really stuck out to me, I'm going with Arian Smith.
That's cool, man. I've See, for me, I was the other way, and obviously I didn't hear about anything. I just been like pretty busy, so I haven't really been plugged in like that. But when we drafted him, all the negative stuff, like that's what I was kind of hearing, not knowing the kid that well, not watching
Yeah,
the games and like pinpointing him out on certain coverages and all that kind of stuff. But the drops was the biggest thing and the biggest worry for me. And it's like if we're focusing on the run game, the other team knows that they're stacking the box, and then Smith, he got to be able to catch the ball. So already, hearing about what you're saying about him being able to do his thing and whatnot, like that's pretty refreshing to hear, knowing that, he could take the top off with the speed. It's just being able to catch the ball because if you can't bring it in, then what kind of threat are you? You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So, I'm cool with that. And then, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No
Just
problem.
on the defensive end, like obviously for a lot of us, defensive tackle, like that was one position that we really felt like needed to be addressed. It didn't get addressed. So just going off of an assumption based off of them not like, doing anything in the draft with that. Since we have Quinn and obviously Jermaine's coming off and he just got paid and we got McDonald, knowing that we got a pretty good 3 out of the 4, do you feel like we don't really have to worry about that other position, knowing about corners seem okay, linebackers were locked on, free safety, they're going to be juggling around. Do you feel like defensive tackles are our biggest issue that needs to be addressed, or you feel comfortable where we're at?
So I want to throw one more quick thing there. You mentioned about the wide receiver position.
Yep.
One quick thing about Arian Smith. Ball security is job security in my eyes. So I completely agree with what you said.
Yeah.
He could have all these crazy skills. He could, be the fastest guy on the football field. If he can't catch the ball, all of that goes to crap. So that's certainly a key thing. I do feel confident. Like, if they're able to get those drop woes out of the way, I don't like that he only had 5 missed tackles last year, but still, even the 5 missed tackles, if they're able to get the drop woes out of the way, this is a guy who you send on a 20-yard vertical pattern down the field. And even if you could just hold on to the ball, get past the defender, pick up 10 yards after the catch, that could add a whole nother element, a whole nother dimension for your offense. And all the offenses that succeed have young, innovative minds as their offensive coordinator, head coach. I think the Jets have that in Tanner Engstrand, and also are multi-dimensional. Right now, I don't think defenses are worrying about the Jets' pass game. It's more so honing in on how do we get this quick pass stopped at the line of scrimmage? Yep. How do we stop this run play? I think that's the thing teams are most worried about right now. So I think getting a deep threat can add a completely different dimension to your offense, and I'm definitely hoping Arian Smith can be that guy for this football team. Defensive tackle alongside Quinnen Williams is not the big wide receiver too, Chef. Until we start playing football games and maybe someone catches my eye, wide receiver 2 will forever be my biggest concern. And I think adding depth at the tight end position, I'd put defensive tackle at 3. I think the Jets have a bunch of great depth options, but they don't have a clear-cut, decisive starter. And I think that's the thing they're still looking for. That's why I spoke about at the top of the show. I want Derek Nottie to be the guy, because Quinnen, you have to worry about his pass rushing and run stuffing abilities, a 3 technique. And then Nottie is just a big guy who can fill multiple holes. So defensive tackle, not my number 1 priority, but I'm certainly not thrilled with the options they have at the position right now.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, great job.
Appreciate that.
I've always apprecited your stuff, man.
Thank you.
Salute to Jake for allowing you to be on the platform, man, to be able to spit your knowledge, because I don't care about your age, man. Just the knowledge and how you're able to address stuff, man. Clear, concise. You do your homework.
Appreciate
not talking about the school. I ain't in your business like that. But when we're talking about the Jets, man, it's obvious you're doing your stuff, your due diligence, man. You're plugged in, man. Appreciate it. Keep on going, man. Go
Chef,
Jets.
brother, appreciate the support. Appreciate the kind words. Have a great Friday night and enjoy the weekend.
My man, have a good one, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chef Kevin Gilbert, appreciate the call and does a great job, as always, getting us started on the phone lines here on this Friday afternoon. Give Chef some love in the chat. Appreciate you all. You can call into the show by using the Gus Buster hotline at the top of the chat. We'll definitely be taking a bunch of your calls today. But before we go back to the phone lines, we got to hit some more Super Chats. And if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. The Super Chats, though, do come first. I do have a lot of your questions pinned, and we'll get to some of the questions in a little bit. And I see you guys backstage, so just hang there. And if anyone else wants to call in, again, use that pin comment. That is at the top of the chat. Appreciate you. As always, 288 of you watching across all platforms. So smash the like, hit subscribe. Continue to grow this platform. You like what you're seeing? Connor Long filling in for Jake Asman. You could shoot me a subscription on YouTube at NY Flight Jets Talk. Completely free. Helps me grow my platform. Supports the Jets content community. My YouTube link is in that description right down below. So if you guys can shoot me a follow, shoot me a sub. That would mean a lot. And we appreciate all of the support. As always, Thunderlips, $2 Super Chat. It's a serious question. Do you go to public or private? Thunderlips, appreciate the $2. Appreciate the $2 Super Chat. I do not like to talk about school or where I go, so I'm going to keep that information kind of just confidential information. So I'm not gonna share that out here on the airwaves. But Thunderlips, we do appreciate the $2, my friend. Jets Johnny comes in with $2. Appreciate you, Johnny. Says Connor Long, don't bring on the Beast. Beast was backstage to start the show. Beast is no longer there, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Appreciate the $2 though, Jets Johnny. That will certainly be $2 in the direction of not bringing Beast on. We'll definitely keep that in mind. Appreciate you, Johnny. Rick Kent, $5. Rick, appreciate you, my friend. We appreciate you joining us here on the program. Sakana, you are so big time. It isn't funny, Rick. Kind words. Appreciate that, my friend. Your support really means a lot to me here on this program. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Let's see. Dick Chimney's Burner comes in with $5. Appreciate Dick Chimney's Burner. Well done, Connor. Appreciate that, my friend. How do you see the secondary shaking out? Any cornerback moving to safeties? Rookie starting? Great question. Appreciate the super chat and a great question that comes with it. Appreciate Dick Chimney's Burner. So the cornerback, I'll say, I could see potentially moving to safety. Excuse me, is Quantez Stiggers, who was a rookie a year ago. Didn't really see him much in that cornerback role. Someone who played CFL football prior to getting drafted by the Jets. He's the only guy I can see because if he stays at the cornerback position, he has no chance of making this roster. Safety, at least, is a little thinner. He has the skill set that could potentially fit a roaming free safety. So Quantez Stiggers is the name I will throw in there as the guy I could potentially see transitioning. Maybe JBC, another guy who has some experience from college at that position. Those two guys, maybe I can only see Stiggers. I just don't think it's going to happen. A sneaky name I'll throw out to potentially make the roster, who Aaron Rodgers praised last year at the end of the year. And from what I've heard and seen, has made a great impact on and off the field thus far. Jarius Monroe, number 39. Keep an eye out for Jarius Monroe over the summer and see if he's able to find a role and earn a roster spot on this team for the 2025 season. Jarius Monroe, I'll say, is my sleeper at that position. Jojo, $10. Jojo, appreciate you. This is Connor, you're awesome. Kind words mean a lot, Jojo. Super happy to be here on the ones and twos, filling in for the great Jake Asman. You're the best, Jojo. Appreciate all of your support. Three Siblings, Jay, comes in with $5. Lunchbox fun. Hope you enjoyed field day today. My 13-year-old son did today. Appreciate that, Jay. Three Siblings. Appreciate that, Jay. And appreciate $5 in the kind words. Yeah, field day was interesting. Field day was interesting. Like I mentioned to Jake, field day is never fun for the team I'm on. So the first, I actually kind of cooked today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. The first activity was hockey, but the net was about this big, and it was on pavement with a tennis ball. So that was kind of tough. But we won 3-2, and your boy scored all three of the goals. Then we got to kickball next. These are the only two activities I kind of vividly remember. Then there's like the three-legged race and things of that nature. Then the second activity was kickball. I'm a baseball player, so I know the rules of kickball, unlike most kids. So we lost 3-2, but your boy drove in both those runs on a triple. So that was those are the two key takeaways. Like, we're giving takeaways on Jets OTAs. Those are the two key takeaways from Connor Long Field Day. Appreciate you all. Let's see. Dan the Jets fan, $2. How do you feel about the Huff trade to San Francisco? Bryce Huff being shipped off to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for a day 3 pick and a reworked deal. So Bryce Huff rejoining with Robert Saleh. The way I feel about it is, God, I'm happy the Jets didn't pay him, and good for Bryce Huff. He gets an opportunity to go to San Francisco in a scheme that he thrived in and made him a coveted player. I'm happy for Bryce Huff. I think he deserves this opportunity, and I think it's a great opportunity for him. So I think it's a solid trade for the 49ers. Robert Saleh has worked with him before. He had 10 sacks in his defensive scheme, and what's the worst thing you could do, giving up a day 3 pick for someone who was a 10-sack guy a couple of years ago? Low risk, high reward. That's my mantra here on the Bryce Huff trade. Rick Kent drops a 5-pack of Jake Asman memberships. Rick, you're the best, and we appreciate you, my friend.
Show me the money. Show me the money! Money.
Yeah.
Rick, you're the best. 5 memberships. Appreciate all the support as always, and 5 Jake Asman memberships. So 5 raffle entries. Appreciate the hell out of you, my friend Rick Kent. Rick, you're the best. Dropped the super chat earlier. Now comes in with the 5 memberships. Like I said, much appreciated here. Rick Barbar Roa, member for 8 months. His Allen's finger does multiple things also. What's the chance his finger gets wide receiver too? It's up there. Barbar Roa, it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game at wide receiver too. Funny comment, and we appreciate the super chat. You've been a member here for 8 months on the Jake Asman Show YouTube channel. Appreciate the hell out of you. Gator, appreciate you, my friend. We were texting before the show. Gator was the one who actually hooked me up with this backdrop here. I'm doing the show from a classroom in school. We'll flick it off for a second so you guys can see Literally would. This is my backdrop right now. And shout out to Gator, who I was texting with before the show, who hooked me up with this sick backdrop. So shout out to Gator. Gator, you're awesome. Says Connor, what's your social security number? Let me check. I'm going to my notes. I'm joking. I appreciate you, Gator. Funny comment after the Underlip super chat. Thank you, Gator. You're the best. Uno Jets, $10. Appreciate you, Uno Jets. Connor, I subscribe to your channel. Great job, LGJ. Appreciate you, my friend Uno Jets. You're the best. Thank you for all of your support here on this program. Appreciate the sub. If you guys want to support me, support Jets content, and support the sub, you can check my YouTube link out in the description. Throw it in the description down below. So just scroll down on this link and you will see the channel. So appreciate you, Uno Jets. And like I said, if anyone wants to subscribe, do so by using the link down below. Appreciate your support as always here on the program. Let's go back to the phone lines. Joining us next here on the show, a legendary caller, one of the best callers out there, someone who I think should have won Asmaniac Madness, plus similar name to a former Jet. Not this one, but that one. Kyle, appreciate you calling in, my friend. How you doing?
Connor Long out there killing it.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. How you doing?
So I don't know. You probably didn't have a chance because of Field Day to see the earlier show, but the Beast has a big date tonight. So
I did see a comment. I see if I can even find it with all these different chat messages. I did see a comment earlier. I think it was one of the first comments here on the show. It looks like it's been erased, but yes, I did see a comment that involved Beast having a girlfriend.
Yeah, I sent him to a hairdresser that we both share, and I think he's getting his hair done tonight.
Oh, there we go.
For his
you want him to shave off that ponytail?
That's right. But I wouldn't expect to hear from him probably until later tomorrow after he does the walk of shame home.
He was backstage, and then he dropped off.
So I missed the beginning of the show. Work got in the way. And anything about my guy Cole Laveo coming out of camp? Have we heard anything?
No, we haven't. I've not heard anything about Cole Laveo, someone who, I mean, is highly intriguing. It was a UFL player a few years ago who has experience at all 5 starting offensive line positions, so he already has a leg up there. Haven't heard anything, but like that. If the Jets decide to carry 10 offensive linemen, he could very well be that 10th guy with a strong summer.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good story, kind of clawed his way up and someone to kind of root for. So he's been someone I've been trying to watch. And we haven't heard anything about the compensation in the Huff deal, right?
We heard that it was a day 3 pick. The trade will finally be proceeded at post June 1. That's all we've heard. And there's going to be a reworked deal. That's the latest. Yeah,
it makes sense because there's a ton of dead money as it looks on over the cap right now. Trading him this year. I can't see that it's anything more than like a 6th that he would go for.
Great deal for San Francisco, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a worthwhile flyer for sure. They're probably going to structure the deal that they'll be able to get out of it after this year. And if he hits again, if he starts producing again, he's found a home and he can retain some of that money or even look to a contract beyond that. You're doing terrific.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
a terrific job, by the way. I would think that Jake's getting a little worried about his seat getting a little warm there, but
thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words.
But keep up the good work, and I'll check in with you guys later.
Kyle, you're the best. Have a great night and have a great Friday night and enjoy the weekend.
Be good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Clifton joining us here on the program. Kyle, appreciate all the support, and we appreciate you calling in here on the show. Great call, great insight. You're the best, Kyle. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate all the support. You guys can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Appreciate you joining us here on this Friday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. Connor Long in for Jake Asman, Long in for Asman. That could be that could be a regular thing. Like the sound of that. We appreciate you all sticking with us. Super chats go a long way. Get your comment pulled up right away. Memberships get you an entry in the Jake Asman Show weekly membership raffle. You guys can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat, and let's keep it going with your calls. Up next, here on the program, the Honorable Barbar Roa. Barbar Roa, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Connor? Man, I'm really happy for you. You're doing a great freaking job. So the first question I had was about the super chat I sent. Like, do you see Allen's finger as potentially being a contributor to our team? It's very versatile. It's been in some tough spots, some spots I would never put myself in, and I feel like his finger is coachable as well. What do you think?
Could be a possibility. You need the objects and the body parts in this situation to do multiple things for your football team. So certainly could be in play.
Word. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't play him, but I think the Jets might. Second question, Jamie Sherwood. What do you see? Where do you see him at the end of the year? What are we gonna say about him, in your opinion? Like, in terms of in general, in terms of production, his leadership. What do you think we will say at the end of the year about this man? Because I think he's going to be the biggest factor on the defense in terms of how successful we are. What do you think?
He's worth every penny. He's the quarterback of the defense, and he's a top 10 middle linebacker in the NFL. I love Jamie Sherwood. I think him overlapping with CJ Mosley was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to him. And he showed when Mosley went down, Mosley was grooming him obviously for multiple years. When Mosley went down, that was his opportunity, and he capitalized on that every little bit. So Jamie Sherwood, in my opinion, now that's what I'd say. And I think we're saying the same thing at the end of the year. I think he keeps up his remarkable past few years in the NFL and especially with the Jets. So I'm a big Jamie Sherwood fan, and I think he's going to be the true leader. Think of like an Alex Anzalone with the Lions, kind of like what he's done there, being the leader, being the glue that holds that whole unit together, and then at the same time being top 10 at his position group. I think Jamie Sherwood's going to be a great football player.
You think he's a top 10 linebacker? That's all. Yeah. I mean, that's wow. Okay, that's awesome. I would love that. Because what do you see? What about Quincy then? He's the other guy on the other side. Where do you see him? Where would you rank him?
I think Quincy's like top 12, top 13. Like, if we're looking at last year, he's top 12, top 13, but he was an all-pro 2 years ago. Like, the Jets could have 2 top 10 linebackers this year. As crazy as that sounds.
That would be awesome.
Would be incredible.
I feel like that would be a huge – I think 2 top 10 linebackers would help in both the pass and the run in a way that having a top defensive secondary obviously wouldn't. That'd be great. I mean, because those 2 guys they're really fast. They clearly have a good football IQ, and they learn from one of the best. So I mean, like you said, it's a great situation to be in. I just hope they can continue to capitalize on the opportunities that they've been given.
Undoubtedly so. So those are the main guys. Those are the 2 guys I think can really play a big role in this defense. And I think you have a great linebacker room that kind of holds down the middle. Like Jamie Sherwood, great run stuffer, great in coverage. The thing I'm looking for is a reliable option to cover opposing teams' tight ends. That could be Quincy Williams. That could be Jamie Sherwood. The Jets need that guy, though. Like, I'm tired of watching tight ends. It wasn't as bad last year, like watching tight ends just absolutely slaughter us. But, like, there's no true guy. Like, it was Tony Adams for part of the year. Maybe that could be Andre Cisco this year. That's still a role I'm looking for, like a guy who can come in and lock down a tight end.
Like, what if those 2 guys aren't going to cover? Like, what man in the secondary do you see? What man in the secondary do you see as someone who can lock down a tight end? Like, is that going to be potentially Stigger's new role? Is that something that the Brandon Stevens maybe potentially could be doing? Because I don't think AZ Thomas is going to be to the safety role.
So
right?
Stevens definitely could fit that role, just given the fact that he's on the taller side for a cornerback. I think it's Andre Cisco. Like, I think Andre Cisco is going to be the middle of the field ball hawker safety. So if I had to pick one guy to be a true reliable option to lock down opposing teams' tight ends, I'm going to go with Andre Cisco.
Awesome, dude. All right, Kyle, last thing I want to say, just make sure, I have a question. What would you tell, who's your favorite teacher and what subject do they teach? That's out of curiosity.
My favorite teacher teaches, this is tough. I got a lot of great teachers.
Either way, just tell them that you think they're great. That's all I wanted to say. Just tell them you appreciate it.
I have like 4 teachers who I was scheming in the back of my head.
Awesome. Dude, congratulations to you, Jake. You might be in some trouble, dude. But ASMANIACS, I love you all. Take care.
Barbar Roa, you're the best. Hope you enjoy the weekend. appreciate all of your support on the program. Barbar Roa, a teacher himself, so 5-day work week. So hopefully he enjoys the weekend. Appreciate the call. Great call, and we appreciate all of your support. Let's keep it going with your calls here on the hotline. PBM is up next. PBM, you're on the Jake Asman Show. What is going on, my friend?
What up? Are you a Knicks fan by any chance?
I'm a Nets fan, unfortunately.
Oh, you're a Nets fan. Okay,
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts on Bridges and how he locked up Halliburton last night? Does that make you happy? Does that make you sad?
Again, like I like Mikal Bridges. I really do like Mikal Bridges. I just find it funny that like two games ago he was the worst player on the court, and then last night he's the hero. Like that's New York sports in general, though. Like goes from player being the scapegoat one night to being the hero of the city the next. I like Bridges. I think he's a great player. He was great on the Nets. I mean, I just think he's such a great middle range shooter. Love that jump shot that he has. At the end of I'm taking 6 first-round picks. Like I like that the Knicks took that deal 1,000. But then that's took that deal. Like 6 first-round picks. Bridges is a great player. I would take 6 first-round picks, especially for a team that's rebuilding. So I'm happy that he's having success. He's an Iron Man. He hasn't missed a game throughout his career. Love Mikal Bridges. So I'm happy to see he's succeeding.
Yeah, I was just curious because I have friends that are Net fans, and they're like they hate the Knicks' success and they think he sucks. And then it's funny. It's just
I don't love the Knicks' success. Like it sucks that the Nets are crosstown rivals. I'm gonna be a realist. I said Pacers in 5 when the series started. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were gonna win last night. They didn't, and now it's brought back to Indy for Game 6. I don't show much bias towards the Knicks when it comes to evaluation. I mean the Nets, excuse me.
Gotcha. Just curious. And for the Jets, so like last year, our breakout player that no one was really talking about until the season was Sherwood. Who do you think that's going to be this year? Underrated guy that's not,
An underrated guy who I think is going to come in and pop. It's Sherwood, like the rise of Sherwood is tough to see. The guy I'll say this year is going to be Leonard Taylor III, actually. I don't think he's going to play as big of a role as Sherwood did last year, but I think he's going to be a guy who is like you're okay with Quinnen maybe playing 70 or 70% of your snaps, and Leonard Taylor comes in for 30 or 40 of those. I think he can be like a true reliable backup 3 tech behind Quinnen Williams. There's no one I see on this roster having as significant of a rise as Sherwood, but if I had to pick one, it would be Leonard Taylor III, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. No one on offense?
I'd say Corley or Smith if I had to pick one, because they have the highest ceiling. Corley, because of you look at what Tanner Engstrand and the Detroit Lions did with Jamison Williams just last year. I would say that it's just they had Arian Smith hasn't touched an NFL field yet, and Malachi Corley, just what he showed last year is too lackluster for me to put hope as a breakout guy.
I'm praying and hoping that somehow Ruckert figures it out.
Long Island guy?
That he at least can block. I don't know. I'm hoping that he can have something that turns around. But good story. But I don't know if he's really a good player. But
this is the last year. This is the last year of his rookie contract, and this is the last year he has his college quarterback. Like, this is it for Jeremy Ruckert. Like, you got to show something.
Exactly. All right, dude. Doing a great job, man.
Appreciate
Catch you later.
PBM, appreciate the call, and we appreciate the kind words and the support here on this Friday afternoon. Purple Belt Mike checking in. Great call as always, and we appreciate his support here on the program. Quick super chat before we go back to the phone lines, and I see all your questions here. We got a special guest joining us in like around 15 minutes, so I'll try to mix the questions in with the calls. $5 more here from Chef Kevin Gilbert. Chef, my friend, we appreciate the hell out of you. Says gives the juice box. My brother Connor. Great talking to you, and it was a pleasure meeting you last year at the Jets training camp. Keep up the great work. Let's go Jets. Chef, you're the best. We appreciate the kind words, and we really appreciate all of your support here on the program. Thank you so much for the super chat. Super chats, memberships get you entries in the Jake Asman raffle. Super chats, memberships overall go to the Connor Long Juice Box Fund. So we appreciate your support as always. Keep those coming. Great way to help support this very program, and we appreciate all of your support. Let's keep it going with your calls. Joining us next here on the channel, one of the best callers out there, a 2 seed and a Final Four appearance in this year's Asmaniac Madness. Gary joins us next here on the show.
Joe Douglas should have been fired. 2 days before he was hired.
You can give him.
Gary, what is going on, brother?
I don't think I actually said Joe Douglas should be fired 2 days before he was hired, but it sounds like something I would say, so we can go with it.
How you doing, my friend?
Great job today, Connor. Great job. I'm glad you got this opportunity. I wanted to address PBM too. No Net fan or anyone in the Nets entire organization or anyone who's ever been a Net fan for a single day would ever, under any circumstance, undo the Mikal Bridges trade.
That's what I said. Yeah,
ever. Yeah. Like you've got a role player who struggles to score from anywhere on the court and can't really handle physical guards defensively. There's not much to. I'm not gonna. But like Knicks fans to try to we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Good for you.
They should. You gave up 6 first-round picks for a player you have.
Cannoli, girl.
You have a player who you dubbed the King of New York. Should be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. There's no ill will. I'm not a Yankee fan hating on Soto. Bridges goes out and scores 35 points tonight and grabs 10 rebounds. I'll say good. I'm not rooting for him to fail. I'm really not. I don't. He was a good net for the most part. There's no ill will to him.
Iron Man. I love Mikal Bridges. It's just you take your 6
I don't know
first
that I like him more than I like Cam Johnson. I'll say that.
When you get a putt, you pick it up. You say thank you very much, and you move on.
Move on. There's no ill will. I've tried to point it. If the Knicks put Mikal Bridges on the free market right now, said we want to move Bridges, what would they get for him? They wouldn't get 2 unprotected. They probably
first-round picks. A first-round pick.
Maybe 2 unprotected, maybe 2 protected, or 1 unprotected.
Yeah,
but it would still have to be lottery protected because you can't trade Bridges for a lottery pick. You don't trade role players for a lottery pick. So
absolutely not.
You would get either 1 or 2 picks, and you traded 5 in a swap for him. Yeah, okay. And the Knicks fans get mad. That is as bad as the Rudy Gobert trade. And look, Minnesota got to the conference finals 2 years in a row, so I guess it's not all bad for Minnesota either. But do you think that there's any Utah Jazz fan in the world that would undo the Rudy Gobert trade?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
The only thing that we have to now is that Sean Marks learns how to be a good GM. I've said this. If I could have only 2 choices to be the GM of the Brooklyn Nets, a basketball team, Sean Marks or Joe Douglas, and you know what I think of Joe Douglas, I would say I know that Sean Marks can't do this, so I'll try Joe Douglas as GM of the Jets.
Sean Marks, I think we've texted about this before. He's like the cat who has 9 lives.
Yeah. He's gonna get a gold watch. He's gonna retire from the Nets organization when he's 65. It's he's here. There's nothing he can do to lose his job. It seems like.
Yeah.
But on to the Jets. I'm more optimistic than most of the calls. I don't think the team is bad at all.
I said 8 and 9.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I look. Everyone's saying that before the bye is murderer's row. We got at Cincinnati. That's probably a loss, and Buffalo is probably a loss. The other games aren't. They're Tampa. Can we stop talking about Tampa? Tampa is murderer's row. They're gonna go 9 and 8 in a bad division. That's a winnable game, right? At Miami, it's a winnable game. We win in Miami all the time. These are not difficult games. Look, they're not easy, and then you don't just mark them up as a W. But home for Pittsburgh, when Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback, why
are you going up against Will Howard? I'd love Will Howard. Mason Rudolph. We
don't even know, right? So they're either going to have Rodgers in his first game in a brand new system, or they're going to have pick your crappy quarterback, right? Will Howard, Mason Rudolph. Why is that? I understand it's
intimidating. I got that.
And by the end of the year, the Steelers, whoever their quarterback is, will probably figure it out. But you don't play them at the end of the year. You play them week 1 where they're still trying to figure it out. So it's the right time to play them. A lot of time, it's not who you play, it's when you play them.
Yep.
And playing Pittsburgh week 1 is good for us. Playing in week 16, 15, 17, 13 might be better for them. Week 1, I like it. To me, I don't know what the odds are in that game. I don't know what the money line is. But to me, I would pick the Jets to win that game.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know about like the spread. I think they're 4.5 underdogs, 4.5 point underdogs. The Jets right now are
I would
3.5
definitely
point.
think. Yeah.
But again, odds don't. The Jets were favored in 15 of their 17 games last year. Like
I know.
odds do
Wow.
not mean anything. So I'm optimistic than most. Like I think Justin Fields can be a great quarterback. I really think he can. It's a matter of putting a healthy, functioning offensive line in front of him. It's a matter of having weapons and having a coaching staff that ultimately is going to tailor a team around him. The tailor a scheme, around him. That's the biggest thing. One more thing here, Gary, before I let you go. What happened to that headset?
Oh, so I got a new one coming in any minute now. UPS is delivered. It's supposed to come in yesterday, but the sound in this ear is kind of going in and out. The part that slides to adjust cracked. So like it doesn't fit on my head. So I taped it to the point that it does fit. But now like the wire on it is starting to go. So like the sound in the one ear is starting to go in and out. But I got another.
No tape?
No, there's tape on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I ordered another one on Tuesday. It's supposed to come in yesterday. And now it's coming in. It literally any minute. It said between 2:45 and 4:45 my time. So
got it.
Any minute. Yeah.
Gary, appreciate it and have a great night.
How it going?
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary.
Knockouts don't matter if you land enough jabs. I mean, you can do music.
Great call by Gary. Appreciate his kind words, and we appreciate all of his support. As always, again, see all the questions in the chat. Special guest joining us in a little under 10 minutes. We're going to hit a super chat. We're going to head over to the phone lines, and then our special guest will most likely be gracing us with his presence. Kyle Clifton comes in with a $10 super chat. Kyle, thank you so much for all of your support. Obviously called in earlier, and now he's dropping the $10 super chat. Kyle, appreciate the kind words, and we appreciate your support. My friend says GM6 will be epic once the Knicks lost GM1 in horrific fashion. This opportunity is the best they could hope for. A chance to empathetically squash their Pacer choke demons in spectacular fashion. You hope they can win. You hope they can force Game 7. I just think Indy takes this home. They had a 3-1 lead. I just think they're a better coach basketball team, and I do think they ultimately win this series when all is said and done. So I'm still upholding my confidence in the Pacers to win this series despite a Game 5 loss. That's my thoughts on this Eastern Conference Finals series. Appreciate you all. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on this Friday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, keep the questions, super chats, memberships coming. We'll continue to get to those. One quick call here before our special guest joins us. Indy Jets is up next. Indy, you're on the Jake Asman Show. How you doing?
Connor, it's a pleasure having you on here. You always do a great job. I appreciate you not wearing the Knicks colors. Hey, Mets is, but go back to that Myers Titman, little competition. My question to you, and you probably have some more insight. When they have Josh Myers in there at center, where's Joe Titman? Is he on the sidelines or is he playing guard?
I know a lot of people are going to say guard. I think the Jets have two guys who could be top 10.
No. I'm talking about during practice. Where is it? Because you guys have people that are actually there. You know some people there that are actually at practice. When Josh Myers is under center, where is Joe Titman? Is he watching or is he practicing at guard?
He's been on the sideline.
He's been on the sideline watching.
From what I've seen and heard, he's been on the sideline. I wouldn't put too much stock into that because again, these guys aren't really rushing. They're in shorts and t-shirts. But from what I've seen on Twitter and speaking to some reporters, I've heard he's been sitting out of practice.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the difference in is Josh Myers is an actual competition or is it if they're moving Josh Myers in there and then putting Titman over at guard, then they're just using that as Titman as the number 2 for guard. They're just rotating these guys around. But if Titman's on the sidelines and watching, then I would see that more of a competition than I would than less of a competition and more, getting Titman used to guard just in case. So I can see that if Titman's just sitting there watching, I see that more of a competition then.
I understand what you're saying there. Even that, you take that into consideration. I just think this is Aaron Glenn trying to stir up the fact that, no one's job is safe. No one's job is safe. Like I said earlier, you start the guy who was a top 10 center last year who used the second round draft selection on. Not someone who's one of the best 32 centers in the league, in my opinion, who you paid back up money in free agency and has been a lower tier starter the past 4 seasons.
Right. And I hate to do this, but I have to agree with Gary yesterday. He said that he was looking at 5-3 by the bye week. Yeah, I'm right there, 5-3, possibly even 6-2, because I don't think that Cincinnati's that good. And the strength of our defense is the corners, because they don't. I mean, I don't even know who their running backs are.
Yeah, Chase Brown.
Right. Who? And
Chase Brown,
yeah, exactly. So my point is, if we can fix the run defense a little bit, I think our corners have, Jamar and Higgins, we can control them a little bit. So Cincinnati doesn't scare me.
I completely agree.
So that puts it. If you're at 4-2 going into Cincinnati, you could walk out 5, or 4-2, 4-3 going into Cincinnati, or even 5-2. I think you could walk out at 6-2 at Cincinnati, or 5-3, and going into the bye week, and that seems more legit.
Completely agree with what you're saying there. Andy, you got any final thoughts here before we let you go? Appreciate the support.
You know what? Tomorrow, I'm glad that we're bringing it back to Indy. I didn't want to send the Knicks home in the Garden, and I think that the Indy coach did that too. He didn't run them. He rested players. I mean, Indy had 10 or 11 players in double-digit minutes.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a conference championship game when you have 10 players with that many minutes. So, I don't want to say they let them win, but they weren't going to burn our guys out. They're going to bring it home and then just run the dog crap right out of the Knicks, and it just wear them out. So, instead of Knicks and 6, well, we know it's going to be Pacers. Knicks and 6 get to go home. How about that?
Ladies and gentlemen, Indy Jets gracing us with his presence here on the show. Shout out to Indy. Great call, and we appreciate his support here on the program. Couple questions before a very, very special guest, very notable name in the NFL community, expected to join us shortly here on the show. So please, please, please stay tuned for that. Couple questions here. Dick Chimney's Burner says, I think we'll be decent at defensive tackle, even though we didn't make a splash. We didn't have a gap integrity last year, and that will make a huge difference. It's not my number one priority. How to fill that hole is what I'm saying here, but I'm not confident. I'm not particularly confident in the group the Jets have at the defensive tackle position as we speak. That's my overall mantra for the defensive tackle group, ahead of the 2025 season. Dicker the Kicker says, do you have access to Jake's soundboard? I mean, let's see. You got so much happening back here in the StreamYard. Gator, I know you're in here all the time. I don't even know how you guys navigate this stuff. My showing it, four clips, very easy. I mean, we got everything back here. We got everything.
The freaking New York Jets. So we're built for this shit. We're the freaking New York Jets.
We got a bunch of so many different clips in here. So yeah, I do have access to the soundboard to make a quick answer there, Dicker the Kicker. Appreciate you as always, my friend. Where are we in the chat? Boomtown Connor, if Xavier Gibson gets cut, do you think he'll be picked up by another team? I maybe to be on the practice squad. I don't think he's playing NFL games this season though. He doesn't. Here's the thing. Xavier Gibson doesn't give you any value on offense, and he's a liability when it comes to the punt return game. What really is he? He's nothing. I don't think teams would roster Gibson alone, just given that, let's say his punt returning was great. That teams don't, unless you're Devin Hester, unless you're one of the best punt returners of all time, teams don't roster guys anymore for just punt return rules. He doesn't provide any value on offense. He's been a below average punt returner. I don't think Xavier, maybe he's on a practice squad. I don't think he's playing NFL games this season, though. It's my opinion on Xavier Gibson. Great question from Moontown. Dick of the Kicker said, are you an athlete, Connor? Well, played baseball competitively on a very competitive team for a long time. Played for my school this spring. I play basketball. I play golf. Those are my two main ones. So that's the answer to your question there. Dicker the kicker. Jay says, Connor, are you feeling optimistic for the Jets O-line for the 2025 season? I mean, how can't you? You have 4 first-round picks and a guy you signed in free agency who made an immediate impact for your team last year. They could be a top 10. They should be a top 10 unit this year, in my opinion. And if they're below a top 13 unit, I'm going to be disappointed. You invested a first-round pick this year. You've invested 4 total first-round picks into this unit. You'd anticipate and you'd hope that they're a top 10 unit this year. That's what you'd hope. 1,000%. 4 first-round picks and a great free agent signing. You want them to be top 10, including the number 7 overall pick in this year's draft. You'd hope that's the case. Let's see. Few baseball questions here. Cactus Johnny, Connor, I heard you pitched a perfect game. Is this true or urban legend? That is true. I did pitch a perfect game, one of the first games of the year. So yes, I'm trying to think. So we only played 5 innings for some reason. So what was that? 15 outs. So yeah, 15 out perfect game, I guess. Connor, Jimbo, Connor, how many Ks did you have in that no-hitter perfect game? Also have a no-hitter. LMAO. No, wait, it was a no-hitter. My bad. I walked the kid. It was a perfect game. So I had 12 strikeouts in 5 innings for that no-hitter. That's what I had. 12 out of 15 guys. Not too shabby. Yeah, I was gonna say I walked a guy. It was not a perfect game. It was a no-hitter. Did not allow a hit. That was the biggest thing. The team actually only put the ball in play one time. They actually only put the ball in play one time. Aside from the walk, I was just mowing them down, which was I was locked in. I was locked in that day. I was throwing a no-hitter. There's nothing better there's nothing worse than when you're out on the mound and you're struggling, but there's nothing better when you're just dealing. Jake comes back with $2. Jake, appreciate the hell out of you. Connor's doing a great job. Everyone's up to him. Jake, again, appreciate this opportunity. Really appreciate the kind words, and we appreciate your support. And I appreciate your support. So thank you for the super chat, my friend. If you guys want to follow me, you can subscribe to me by doing so. You can subscribe to me by clicking the link in the description down below. We appreciate all of your kind words and all of your support here on this Friday evening. Like I said, a very, very special guest should be joining us momentarily here on this show. So please stay tuned to that. Cactus Johnny says, any real fan is already subbed to Connor. Cactus Johnny, appreciate you. I know you've been listening to me for a long time. So, hey, we're always looking to grow the platform. Everyone's, we're not anywhere near, Jake Asman as a maniac status at 41K subscribers. We're on the road to 2K. So please sub us up. You could hit 2. You could help us on the road to hitting 2,000 subscribers. Link in the description down below. We appreciate your kind words. Jenner G comes in with a $20 super chat. Jenner G, thank you so much for this $20 super chat.
Get your ass off my super chats. Some of these are gifted memberships too.
Hey.
The hell with it.
Genergy, thank you so much, my friend. You're the best. How many TDs for G5 this season? Go Connor Long. Loved meeting you in the Next Gen Jets game at the ASMANIACS draft party. LGJ. Generally, it was great meeting you at the draft party. How many touchdowns? I was talking about this the other day with Chris and Jack on the phone. I was like, Garrett's such a great receiver. You need to start seeing him score touchdowns. Like, he hasn't been a guy who has really dominated as a red zone option, scoring a lot of touchdowns. I think he will this year because I think he's going to be the red zone guy for this team, and who's Justin Fields is going to rely on a quick set slant across the middle of the field when you're at the 5-yard line. I think Garrett Wilson could have a lot of touchdowns. He had 7 last year, which isn't too bad. Like, there's a chance, in my opinion, he can hit that 10 mark. I think he can hit double-digit touchdowns this year. Like, he's with his college quarterback, and he's only going to have an increased role when you look at the options around him. I think Garrett Wilson could undoubtedly hit 10 touchdowns this season, and I don't think that's far-fetched. He could definitely hit the 10 mark on this season. Like I said, guys, appreciate you all tuning in here on this Friday afternoon. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on the Jake Asman Show. Very, very special guest joining us, hopefully in a few minutes, as he told me at see what time did the last communication at 2:53 p.m. should be joining us shortly here on the program. So hopefully our special guest, who's very well-known NFL reporter, can join us here on the show and provide some insight regarding the Jets. Appreciate you guys. As always, Jake, this is my first time I'm watching the show today. Been checking chats when I could. Love how Connor mastered playing all the drop/opens. Jake, appreciate it. I know we were on the phone last night. I was telling you, like, it's crazy with all the different brands you have. And for those who know how to use StreamYard, like Jake's StreamYard is just a whole different element. So it's a completely different element. So appreciate that one. 100%. It's the Asmaniacs out there who are the Asmaniacs run the show. The Asmaniacs are the best. So shout out to all you guys in the chat. Shout out to all you Asmaniacs. And again, we have a special guest joining us, and we're gonna wrap up here. So again, you got any final questions? We're waiting for the special guest to join. So fire away with all your questions. We hit all the super chats. We hit all your calls. So if you guys could still load it up. If you guys want to call in, we could do a little something after our special guest hops on. But special NFL reporter joining us shortly. Cactus Johnny comes in. He's been a member for 14 months with his 14-month membership super chat. Cactus Johnny, appreciate you, my friend. He said, Connor, what do you think the Mets need to add most prior to the deadline to compete with the Dodgers and Phillies for a wild card spot? Center field's starting pitcher or other, I say beef up pen. I'd have to go with the beefing up of the bullpen. I really, really like the way the starting rotation has I really like the way the starting rotation has done thus far, especially still without Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea. I really like the way that has kind of evolved thus far. As for the bullpen, Husker Brazaban has been a huge surprise for me. I think Husker Brazaban has had a great season. You call on him, he comes in and he does his job. It's just adding depth at that area. I completely agree with what you're saying. It's what us Jet fans, it's what us Jet fans have been saying for a long time. That for year after year, it's the same conversation. Cactus Johnny, us Met fans, it's always, how do we get more bullpen arms? How do we do this? How do we do that? It's always about pitching. So if you can get more bullpen arms in there and established veterans ERAs in about the 2 range, that would be absolutely incredible. I'm looking to beef up the bullpen ahead of the trade deadline. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash that like, hit subscribe. Connor Long in for Jake Asman. Friday edition of the Jake Asman Show. We have our very special guest. I told you guys this show was going to be legendary, and it's not a legendary show without ESPN senior NFL reporter Jeremy Fowler, who graces us with his presence. Jeremy, appreciate you fitting us into your busy schedule. And how you doing? I mean, OTA training camp's right around the corner. It's going to be a full rush ahead shortly.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we got OTAs and a little mini camp action over the next few weeks, and then got a break in the calendar and then training camp. So it's all going to happen very fast. But yeah, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Appreciate you. You've always been great to me. So appreciate you fitting us into your schedule and sparing some time for us. I guess where I'm going to start is the Jets offseason has been really interesting. They've gone the route of targeting young guys with upside who they think have a high ceiling, maybe don't have high floors, but can come in, and if they hit their ceiling, they can be significant impact players for this team. There's still some names out there on the free agent market. Amari Cooper remains unsigned. Keenan Allen out there. We know wide receiver 2 still a position in need for the Jets. Zadarius Smith, even another name I'll throw in there, has the connection to Aaron Glenn. Edge, I think, is a position in need. Kind of talking with people around the league. Do you think there's a chance that the Jets do add another free agent ahead of the season, or do you think they're all set with the crew they're riding with?
So I'm looking at just kind of their offseason roster, in particular the draft. They drafted Arian Smith from Georgia, whom they like. They feel like they can get him out in open space and sweeps and things like that. This is the time of year where you want to see what your young players can do. Obviously, you got Mason Taylor, a tight end. So you got the rookies in for minicamp and then OTAs, then eventually minicamp. You want to see what they can handle, whether they can fill, let's say, a wide receiver 3 role or wide receiver 2, where guys fit. And after that, then if you need free agency help this summer or closer to training camp, you can make a call to Amari Cooper. I could see Cooper as a fit, certainly. Keenan Allen, I still believe, wants to be on the West Coast. I think where he signs will be somewhere out west. Not sure where yet, but Amari Cooper certainly could fill that wide receiver 2 role next to Garrett Wilson. And it really depends on the money, as we know at these things. So a lot of these established veterans, they've made a lot of money in their career, so they don't want to sign for $2 million, let's say. They want to get something at least reasonable for their skill set, and teams don't want to give that up right now unless they're desperate. So, if the Jets find out by the end of mid-June that they have an injury or they're not as good as they'd like to be at a certain spot, they can go address it then.
Absolutely. Justin Fields has kind of emerged as the face of the franchise after the team decided to ink him to a 2-year contract this offseason. How do you think teams around the league truly view Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn? Because everything, we think Fields has a high upside. We've said that for multiple years now. I mean, the guy's 26 years old. I don't think ever really gotten a fair shake given the fact that he's gone through all these different 5 offensive coordinators. I think it is throughout his NFL career. He's never had a strong offensive line in front of him. Now it's like kind of you have to do something with the Jets. I think this is his last crack to be a starter at the NFL level. How do other NFL teams kind of view the Jets with Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields? What is their stance kind of on this team?
Well, I think at least with Justin Fields, the perception around the league is that the Jets will have a clear identity. They have a quarterback who is a true dual threat, which, as we know, there are only about 6 or 7 or maybe even 4 or 5 quarterbacks that you can say, okay, that's a scheme transcendent quarterback. You can put your team on his back and you're going to win and have a chance at a Super Bowl. There just aren't very many of those. So with Fields, he gives you more in the running game. Teams like the Jets are just going to need to rely more on the running game than say, the Bengals if you have a Joe Burrow. And so Fields gives you that automatically. He's got the arm strength. It depends on who you ask really as far as what they think he'll do with the Jets, because some have sort of pigeonholed him as an average NFL starter who can make some things happen. You can certainly win games with, but maybe it's not going to be a pure pocket passer where you're throwing 40 times a game, right? But that said, there are some others around the league who believe or subscribe to what you said, which maybe he wasn't given a fair shake. Chicago is always a tricky situation for quarterbacks. We know that. Pittsburgh, he was 4-2 as a starter, did pretty well. They weren't prolific in the passing game, but he was good and did what they asked. That's why I think he had a market. If you have at least 2 teams willing to pay you, then that means you've done something right in free agency, that is. So in this case, Fields had the Jets and he had the Steelers. So he was doing something right. And, I think the Jets look at this as, we can take our shot in 26 or maybe even 27 on a quarterback in the draft. But now we need somebody who can help us win games right now, who's not Aaron Rodgers. And so I think that was, Fields fit that bill really well.
Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, 2022 first-round picks who've come in and not only established themselves as key parts of these Jet teams, but really have kind of made their mark on the NFL overall. Sauce Gardner, in my opinion, undisputable top 5 cornerback in the NFL, and I think Garrett Wilson could even be argued to be a top 10 guy at the wide receiver position. Jeremy, the Jets picked up their 5th-year options for the 2026 season. Yeah. When do you think an extension gets banged out for these guys? Is it this offseason? Do you see something happening potentially before the start of the year? Do you think the Jets ultimately wait till next offseason to make these guys Jets for long term?
I do believe there's a chance they get something done. Most front offices now are going to at least try to be proactive if you have a marquee guy, which I think in Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, they certainly do, because it's only going to cost you more a year from now. That seems to be the trend. Even a couple years ago, you would only pay quarterbacks or maybe a pass rusher who was 3 years into a first-round rookie deal, which means they still had 2 years of contractual control with the 5th-year option. I do think that's slightly changing now. So you could see a deal. And in fact, I'll say this here. From what I've heard, they've at least had some initial talks and made some sort of contract offer for those 2 players. I don't know all the details, but that's asking around. That is my expectation that they've at least gotten that far. Now, where that leads or if that leads to anything, I don't know. But I do think the Jets are going to follow through on their plans to at least try.
What are your thoughts overall on how the Jets kind of handled the 2025 NFL draft? There was a lot of discussion whether the Jets were going to elect to use the number 7 overall pick in a weapon that was presumably going to be Tyler Warren. The Jets ultimately didn't elect to go that route. They decided to select Armand Membu with the number 7 pick, solidifies the offensive line for this team. And I personally wanted Tyler Warren. I wanted another pass catching option for Justin Fields, but you can never complain about, kind of solidifying the offensive line. I know you wrote an article not too long ago that according to many NFL scouts, that they think he might be the next Jason Peters. And Jeremy, I think if you select Jason Peters with the number 7 overall pick, that's a win any day of the week. What's the perception around the league on how the Jets handled the 2025 draft?
Yeah, I think as far as upside, Membo had the most at the offensive tackle position. And there were really 3 tackles that were going to go high. And it was funny around the draft time. I mean, I think a lot of teams I was speaking to thought that they would maybe go Kelvin Banks out of Texas. There's a lot of buzz about Banks leading into Thursday night. And then they ended up going with Membo. So that was fascinating. And I think they knew that and played that to their advantage. Certainly, I think Warren was under consideration, but they just, they hit it off with Membo. They felt like he solidifies things, and the upside is so good because he's so long and so athletic.
Absolutely.
Nobody was really getting around him last year at Mizzou. So, he sort of gives you instant credibility there. And I think they looked at it as, let's just put him on the right side. We're not messing around with this. We're not going to move him left to right or play him at guard or whatever. Like, we're just put him right tackle and let him work.
Absolutely.
And, you're seeing good teams in the league, whether you have the 10th best quarterback or the 18th or 20th, you have to have that really good line, or else you really have minimal chance of being successful on offense.
It all starts in the trenches. You don't have great trench play, you're not winning games. I look back to what the Detroit Lions did first year of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They took Penei Sewell. That turned out to be an incredible pick. That's kind of what sparked that resurgence for that Detroit Lions team. So again, can't complain about solidifying the offensive line. Jake comes in with $20. Appreciate you, Jake. Says, this is what Wally Pip felt like, I'd imagine. Nice get, Connor. Jeremy is awesome. Ask Jeremy about the guy in New Orleans that yelled out to him on the street one night that he's a tremendous reporter. It might have been me.
Yeah, I do remember that. And I think I saw Jake at either a Jets practice or game, and he mentioned that. I thought it was hilarious because I was at the Super Bowl in New Orleans with, like, my wife and I went to dinner or with some friends. We were going back to our hotel, and I heard somebody yell out about whether Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. And I didn't know who it was, or I was just getting my bearings. And I said, I don't know, as we all don't know with Aaron Rodgers as far as what his plans are typically. But it was a funny moment in the streets of New Orleans for sure, and caught my attention. So, that's one I'll remember.
Last one here, Jeremy, before we let you go. $10. Appreciate you, Ralphie, who says, what do you think is the rationale with cutting Morstead? Was it just money? San Francisco picked him up quick.
Typically, these things are about money. I don't know offhand, but a lot of times you're seeing teams get more transitional with kickers. You're just seeing a lot more churning for younger players that might have a bigger arm, or a bigger leg. So I think that's part of it. They have a chance to get cheaper and younger. That's typically how these things go.
At the buzzer from Gayer McCluskey says, is there anything more you can tell us about those initial offers they made to Sauce and Garrett?
No, not yet. I just know that they certainly want to do it. And the market's going to tell a lot, because you're seeing the cornerback market now has jumped big time. So, the Jets might want to get ahead of where Derek Stingley's at $30 million. Some other corners are at that $25 million mark. So my guess is they try to get ahead of that a little bit, maybe offer something in between, which if you're Sauce, you're probably not taking less than Derek Stingley at this point, considering they're both really good players, but you probably feel like you've done a little more. And so it's going to be hefty. I mean, both contracts would have to probably hit that $30 million mark, or at least get close to it, which makes it tough. And I don't know that the Jets want to do that. And if you pick one, it's hard to leave the other guy hanging. So sometimes it's easier to just, put an initial offer, see where things are, and then say, hey, we'll shelve this and revisit it next offseason. You saw the Vikings did that with Justin Jefferson a couple years ago. They tried, waited, let him play out the year, then hit it big next offseason. Sometimes that's good for both parties. At least here, neither guy's in a contract year, so you don't have to rush it.
And you have the 5th-year option too, so you have that other year of control as well. Jeremy, really can't thank you enough for sparing some time and fitting us into your schedule here on this Friday afternoon. You got any final thoughts here before we let you go?
No, just, I think the Jets are, I don't know where I'm going to forecast them, but I like what I've seen so far. They're kind of building it like they remind me a little bit of the Lions. I mean, you see shades of that with Aaron Glenn. He knows what that blueprint looks like, and you build it inside, and you try to get some high upside guys in there who are tough, who are physical. And, I'm really interested to see what he does with the defense, because I think that's a big reason why he took the job, is he liked the pieces on defense. And so, I really expect him to put his stamp on things. We're talking about Sauce Gardner. what does Aaron Glenn do with Sauce, and does he really press him to expand his game? That's what I'm curious about. Instead of just playing one side, is he going to have him, play some man and get up there and, travel a little bit? I don't know. Sometimes that's overrated, but I think he'll experiment a little bit with Gardner. That's my point, and try to put his stamp on the team. So I'm excited about the Jets for that reason, especially on defense.
Jeremy, you're the best. Have a great night.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Connor. Have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler making a special appearance here on the show. Shout out to Jeremy. He's the best, and we appreciate him sparing some time, giving the latest insight and news surrounding the New York Jets. Appreciate Jeremy. Going to wrap up here soon. So 2 super chats will end us off. $10 from David D. David, appreciate you. Says Connor, which players on the Jets' current roster do you believe could be surprise cuts or traded by the Jets before the start of the season? The one I would say who I don't really think is a surprise is Xavier Gibson. That's the first one that comes to mind. I just don't think there's really any role left for him on this team, especially after Arian Smith was selected. I think he's going to be that dynamic playmaker that they hoped Xavier Gibson at this point would be. A surprise, I will say, is I understand the Fields connection, all that, but do not be surprised if Jeremy Ruckert is on the chopping block after a poor summer. I mean, there's a point where he's just a liability on the field. The drop passes last year, the fact that he was literally the worst run blocking tight end in the NFL. There's a point where it's like, all right, we got to take the Long Island stuff out of this. We got to take the fact that he's played with Justin Fields out of this. He's not a good football player. I don't think that would happen, but with a lackluster summer, that could be really embarrassing. I wouldn't count it out. $2 from Aaron here at the buzzer. Appreciate you, Aaron, who says, what's your ceiling for Justin Fields? He could be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I mean, a scheme tailored around him. I spoke about this earlier. He has all the intangibles that you look for in an NFL quarterback to have success with. So he's never had the coaching. He's never had an offensive line. He's never had weapons. I think there's a chance that he could be a top 10 quarterback. And let's see. Thank God I checked again. I missed this $10 one from Weege, who says, after middle school, we used to get pizza and Arnold Palmer's all the time. So maybe treat yourself after the show with this, Connor. LOL. Appreciate you, Weege. Appreciate the support. Thank you for the $10 super chat. That'll close us out. Appreciate you all sticking with us here on this Friday afternoon. Connor Long filling in for Jake Asman here on the Jake Asman Show. You're the best, Asmaniacs. Appreciate all of your support. You want to subscribe, find more of my work, you could do so by using the link in the description down below. Appreciate you all, folks. Have a great night. And as always, JETS, 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 Jets. Peace out.